We respectfully acknowledge that the Windsor Regional Hospital occupies the traditional, ancestral, and contemporary lands of the Niswi, Ishkwiden, Anishinaabeg, the Three Fires Confederacy, Ojibwe, Odawa, and Potawatomi. We acknowledge the land and the surrounding waters for sustaining us, and we are committed to protecting and restoring these lands and waters from environmental degradation. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the March edition of the Windsor Regional Hospital Board of Directors meeting. I'm going to call this meeting to order. It is now 5 o'clock. Do you have any declarations of conflict of interest? Seeing none, wonderful. Can I get a motion to approve the previous minutes? Seeing Paul Lachance, seconded by Lori Freeman. Thank you. Questions, comments, concerns? Seeing none, all in favor? Perfect, thank you. As you can see, we are all wearing our hats, so special thanks to everybody who attended yesterday's virtual kickoff to the Hats On for Healthcare. So the 2022 Hats On for Healthcare event will support Windsor Regional Hospital's mental health program at the LEMP campus. Hats On for Healthcare is now in its 13th year and has raised more than $450,000 for programs and services at Windsor Regional Hospital. So please, for any companies out there, if you want to join in the fun, please go to the Windsor Regional Hospital Foundation's website. It's an easy sign up, doesn't take a lot of effort for the individuals that are at schools around Windsor and Essex County. Again, it's a fun way to raise funds for the services that are being provided. So again, Hats On for Healthcare, go to the website at Windsor Regional Hospital Foundation, and it'll be right on their home screen. So the next thing that I wanted to discuss was, so March 8th is International Women's Day. Global day celebrating the social, economic, cultural, and political achievement of women. The day also marks a call to action for accelerating gender parity. The United Way Center Aid, Windsor, Essex County, and the Windsor and District Labor Council are joining together to collect and distribute menstrual hygiene products in our community for Tampon Tuesday. Menstrual hygiene products are one of the most requested yet least donated items at food banks and shelters. With your help, we can change that. So it's Tampon Tuesday, drive-through drop-off, and that's at the United Way office parking lot at 300 Giles Boulevard East, Windsor, Ontario. And then if you go to the weareunited.com /Tampon Tuesday, you'll be able to get more information. Again, so that's Tuesday, March 8th, and the hours are 3 to 7. So thank you, United Way, and thank you for all the volunteers that are making that happen. So, and again, to all the women out there, happy International Women's Day. Now moving on to hospital business, just a quick update from the project management office with regards to planning for the new hospital. So right now we're stage 2 functional planning update. So 40 plus user groups representing different programs and service areas at the hospital are continuing to meet to develop and the functional programs for the new hospital. These groups are hospital leaders, frontline staff, patient, and community representatives. In the second part of stage 2, a team of architects, engineers will take the functional program and use it to develop some block schematic drawings. These drawings will illustrate department layouts and how each department will be arranged horizontally and vertically within the hospital. So the project management office is working closely with Infrastructure Ontario and the Ministry of Health to prepare a request for proposals for a planning, design, and conformance team of architects and engineers to do this work. Introducing Together We Build Engagement Platforms and Town Hall series. So this week, the project Management Office team launched a new community engagement platform called Together We Build. Since yesterday's launch, over 180 people have signed up for the platform. So please know you do have to send in your name and email address because we want to keep you informed. So you do have to register for these events. That way we're able to contact you later and get your feedback. So please just know that. So everyone's invited to visit the site to learn about the planning being done in 11 different program service areas, participate in surveys, share ideas, and register for upcoming town halls. There are 11 virtual town halls scheduled, each focusing on a different area of planning, including the new cancer center, emergency services, and pediatrics. During the town halls, project leaders will share information about the work the user groups are doing in planning the different areas of the hospital and answer questions. A full schedule of town halls and a link to the engagement platform is available on the project website, and that's www.windsorhospitals.ca. So we do now have a video that our PMO office has prepared for today. And I believe it's Dr. Ian Mazzetti will be speaking.
Hi, I'm Ian Mazzetti. I'm Chief of the Department of Medicine. I work as a general internal medicine specialist and a critical care specialist. But it's really exciting to be invited to the table to talk about planning for the hospital. You know, all of us through our careers, through our lives in Windsor, there's going to be times when we're on the other side, when we're family members of patients or when we're patients ourselves. And so it really gives us the opportunity to provide the perspective, not only as a clinician, but also as a member of the community and someone who will be using these services for many years to come. Something as simple as ensuring that all the rooms are private, ensuring that the rooms are placed to allow sunlight, a beam of sunlight, to strike your loved one's face as they wake up after a night of perhaps feeling sick. Setting up the geography of the room to allow families to visit. Something as simple as having a fold-out couch so that you can sleep over with your loved one when they're feeling sick, and knowing that there's someone that they love that's close by. Having a structure of the unit that allows the team to do a very efficient multidisciplinary round so that the team is close to all patients in the unit, so that if someone gets really sick, you can pop over and you don't have to walk along corridors. So there's so many ways that this benefits the community, so many ways that this will benefit our care of the critically ill. So please get involved. We need you. This is a community endeavor. We're all working together on this. We need your input about how you want the new hospital to look and how the hospital can best serve the needs of the community. We're not only planning for now, for 10 years, we're planning for 50 years from now in this transformative event for healthcare in the Windsor-Essex County.
All right, well, thank you to the team, Dr. Mazzetti, for that. And this truly is a transformative project for Windsor and Essex County. So please get involved early, get involved often. Make sure you're visiting the website, windsorhospitals.ca. So the report of the president and CEO, Mr. Mouche, is not available tonight. So we're going directly to the CNE report with Karen Rydell. Karen?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good evening, everyone. I think Matt's going to help me out with there we go. Thanks, Matt. So thank you, Mr. Chair, again, and good evening, everyone. So this is the Chief Nursing Executive Report for March 3rd. If you could move on to the next slide, Matt. So we're going to be talking about health and human resources again this evening. In January, we did present our overall strategy for health human resource planning. And you'll recall that our focus plans included recruitment, expansion of staff appreciation and recognition, as well as implementation of an interprofessional practice model. Last month, we highlighted our first initiative, which is the recruitment of extern program. And tonight, we're going to talk about our recruitment incentive program. Next slide, please. So Windsor Regional Hospital initially received this provincial funding in May of 2021. And these incentives were designed to help Ontario hospitals directly support the additional beds that were required for high acuity patients as part of a larger government effort to add much needed critical care capacity. In addition, we launched a refreshed online recruitment page, and that can be found at joinwrh.ca. Next slide. So you might ask why we need this incentive program. You'll see the pie chart over to the right, and that's from the Canadian Institute for Health Information. And this was Health Workforce in Canada, published in 2020. And what this shows is that between 2015 and 2020, 5% of our graduates in Ontario are actually lost to other jurisdictions. And what that means is they're leaving our province to go work in other provinces or work in other countries. And you only need to do a quick scan of the internet. So just Google sign-on bonuses, and you'll see that there's multiple hospitals just across our border offering sign-on bonuses. And that has been a challenge for us here locally for many, many years. So we've always been competing with US hospitals offering very large sign-on bonuses and other perks, which further reduces the number of nurses that are available in Ontario and across Canada. In addition, we know that our population in Ontario is predicted to rise by over 36% over the next 24 years. So we know that our graduating classes are just not going to be able to meet that demand. And we know that, as predicted in a McGill study back in 2019, that we're probably looking at a deficit in Canada right now of 60,000 full-time nurse equivalents. So it's a significant shortage issue that we've been dealing with for a long time. Next slide, please. So I want to talk about this program and its success. So today we've been able to hire 35 nurses through this incentive program, and they've filled vacancies in PACU, our recovery room, our intensive care units, our cath lab, med-surg units, mental health, and the emergency departments. These services are all critical to the operations of the hospital and ensuring we're able to maintain services now and into the future. And this program has helped us to be more competitive in a very tight marketplace. And it's helped to remove barriers to nurses that may want to relocate to this area from out of province or elsewhere in the province. So I want to show just one short video clip for one of our nurses that's been hired through this program. She's going to neurosurgery at the OLET campus, and she's coming to us from Prince Edward Island. So sorry, Matt's bringing that up for us now.
Good morning, Linda, and all the team members at Windsor Regional Hospital. Myself, Shivaji George. Hi, I'm moving from Prince Edward Island to Windsor, and I will be joining the organization in the month of April 4th at Neurosurgery Department. And when I talk about my experience, I am from India and I have been working as a nurse for more than 4.5 years in a hospital. But after I came to Canada in 2016, and after coming here, I got my license and I've been working at long-term care, and it's a great transition from a long-term care to the hospital setting. So it will be a difficult transition for me, and the challenges that I face while moving into a different province is like finding a place to live, and yeah, about the new job. And the why I choose Windsor is like I wanted to work at a hospital and also for a better church community. Yeah, that's all from my side, and nice to meet you all. Thank you.
So I hope you enjoyed that, just that very brief video, just to give a little flavor of just one of the nurses and what a difference this incentive program makes to bring people into our community and how thankful they are for that. So I just want to finish with a few thoughts. So this program has been incredibly successful in Windsor. It's just one aspect, of course, of our overall planning for HR, but it's been an important part of overall provincial planning to both replenish and sustain our healthcare workforce. And there's lots more to do, but I do want to just say what a successful initiative this has been provincially. If you can just click, there we go. And then I just want to talk a bit about our community and as we move forward from the pandemic. So we've experienced incredible challenges over the past 2 years in this community. And I do want to take this opportunity to thank our community. We really would not be where we are today without you and your support. And I think there's just one more bullet point, but what it says is really we talked about at the beginning of the pandemic that we would get through this together, and we absolutely did. And last slide. So thank you, Windsor Essex, and thank you, Mr. Chair and the board. And that's the end of my report.
Thank you, Karen. Does anybody have any questions or comments for Karen at the moment? Karen, I just one question. When, now this is a provincially led program. Do we know when did it come into, when did it start, and do we know how long it will go on for?
Yeah, so we received funding last year, May 2021. There is some indication that the funding may actually end at the end of this fiscal year. We are working, though, there is a provincial strategy team that is working. There's leaders from across the province that are working on the provincial HHR strategy, and we are hoping that we will be able to expand that into 22-23, as well as a number of other initiatives.
Okay, wonderful. Thanks, Karen. Next up, we have the Schulich report with Dr. Jacobs. Dr. Jacobs.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I'm just going to call you out a little bit for not wearing your hat today.
Oh, it's because when I do this, I got my better hat. See?
Oh, okay. That makes sense. That's a heck of a leap too, but
I used to have athletic skill, but now unfortunately it's all fake mockery. No, thank you for the opportunity. I don't have a very long report today. I do want to draw attention to our fourth year class, which is in the right now currently interviewing for their residency positions. I think I brought this up at our last month as well. Match day for them where we will find out their results is in the middle of April, but this is the week where, and next week are the 2 weeks where they're actually proving themselves and taking their chances in the lottery to find out what their careers will be like. So we're excited for them, but also nervous for them as well. We do have a couple of events upcoming in Windsor, 3 of them. So on March 24th, we will endeavor to host our first in-person faculty development session since the pandemic began. So all of these 3 things that I'm about to mention are all touch wood. David's not on the call, so it makes this a little easier for me to say this without feeling nervous. The second event on March 25th is a town hall that Dean Yu will be doing locally in Windsor as well, out of the University of Windsor at one of our lecture theaters. And then on April sorry, I just flipped on my screen for the date. I should know this. April the 13th, we are celebrating our Awards of Excellence. That has traditionally been an event we've done here in Windsor to do 2 things. One, recognize excellence in faculty and staff and students, but also it kind of dubs as an informal graduation celebration for our 4th year class as well. They're all tentatively marked as in-person, depending on how the world shakes over the next couple of weeks. We're hopeful. You never know what happens, but for now, that's the plans, and we're hopeful that we can do some nice things coming up for our students and faculty. That's my report. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, next, oh, sorry. Any questions or comments for Dr. Jacobs? Yeah, good luck to all the fourth year students on your match. Hopefully you get your first choice. So we're all rooting for you. But if you stay in Windsor, that's even better. Next up, we have the financial presentation with Ms. Penny Allen. Penny?
Penny, you're muted.
I just got unmuted. Okay, good. Is the slideshow there? I can't see it.
It should be up. Yes, we can see.
I'm having a problem with it. I'll just,
Penny, you're on slide 1. As we go through, I'll tell you when we've moved. So we are on slide 1. If you've got a copy of it.
Oh, it's slide 2 that says financial resource hospitals operations. Okay,
Yep.
I'll just do that. I don't know what's going on. That's very weird.
Technology, it's a fantastic thing when it works.
All right. All right. Okay. So slide 2 is financial results, hospital operations. 2.2 million deficit for hospital operations year to date. And this is as of the 10 months ending January 31st. The net deficit after building amortization is 3,569,000. On February 3rd, 2022, the ministry updated the COVID-19 incremental expense guidance and will be reimbursing hospitals for the last half of the fiscal year using the same kind of criteria as in fiscal 2020-2021. Okay, and previously unfunded expenses such as PPE, additional staffing, sick and isolation costs will now be reimbursed. So that is good news. COVID has resulted in non-ministry revenues being under budget by 4.2 million. The unearned ministry volume funding being under budget by 5.2 million. A year ago, that number was 13 million. So this is quite a significant improvement. Recent communications indicate that the ministry will require year-end reconciliations and recovery of unearned volume revenues, and that non-ministry revenue shortfalls will not be funded. However, we expect the advocacy of the Ontario Health Hospital Association and the hospitals themselves will see a similar plan as last year to make hospitals whole and not be negatively impacted by the pandemic. Okay, now we have slide 3, COVID-19 impact on expenses. This slide shows the breakdown of 4.2 million in lost revenues impacting our financial statements. Based on the updated guidance, the unfunded COVID-19 expenses total 1.5 million due to the 2 items indicated. 1, the wage differential for nursing externs, and 2, the difference between the cost of running the assessment centers and funding based on $38 per swab, which I guess is not that good of a thing. Slide 4, revenue. Base and one-time funding is 35 million favorable to amounts that have been accrued for known COVID-19 reimbursements. These include new eligible incremental expenses incurred from October to January, including screening, temporary physician payments, vaccination and assessment center funding, and nursing extern funding. Ministry drug reimbursements for high-cost drugs, favorable 2,253,000, but these are offset by higher drug expenses. Ministry drug reimbursements for high-cost drugs favorable 2,250,000. Or I'm sorry, I already said that. Patient services revenue 2,652,000 favorable relates to uninsured patient revenue from the ministry and higher diagnostic revenues, which are offset by higher medical staff remuneration expense. Other recoveries favorable 2,277,000. Retail pharmacy revenues are offset by higher drug expenses. Slide 5 is expenses. 39 million year-to-date unfavorable variance in expenses. The majority of these expenses are COVID-19 related and are confirmed or eligible for Ministry of funding. Medical surgical supplies are 3,650,000 unfavorable due to increased use of PPE, that's like the masks and stuff, depletion of donated PPP supplies, and volume increases as procedure backlogs are addressed. Drugs, 13 million unfavorable. Systemic and renal drugs are funded by Ontario Health, and additional drug expenses in the retail pharmacies are offset by recoveries as noted previously on another slide. And other supplies variance of 12 million and includes 3,561,000 and additional Evolve HIS project costs due to COVID-19 delays, which have been funded by the ministry. So that's good. 4,040,000 for referred out vaccination expenses, City of Windsor and County of Essex ENS, also fully funded by the ministry. 2,119,000 for referred out cataract procedures, which are fully funded by quality-based procedure funding. So that is my report, and I would like to, I don't know if anybody has any questions.
Questions for Penny? Seeing none. Penny, are you making that motion?
Okay, I'm going to make a motion, yes.
All right, perfect.
Yep, that the March 3rd, 2022 financial presentation, the presentation is as of January 31st, 2022, be accepted.
Perfect. Seconded by Ian. Did I see your hand go up? Thank you, Ian. I believe there were no questions or comments, but we will check one more time. Questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor? Wonderful. That is accepted.
And I do apologize because did the people see the slides or no?
Yeah, everybody saw it.
Oh, good.
And then
you.
Penny, one more.
Yes, I do. The next one is under the consent agenda, and I will move that the report from February 22nd, 2022 Financial Audit and Resources Committee meeting be accepted.
Seconded by Dan Wilson. Thank you, Dan. Appreciate it. Questions, comments, concerns? Seeing none, all in favor? Wonderful. Thank you, everybody. So I was just kidding when I said that this was going to be the shortest meeting of all time because David wasn't here. I neglected Dr. Saad. He will be giving the presentation on behalf of David. So Dr. Saad, and I believe that our AV guru, Matt, will help with this.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I've been asked to give the Board of Directors an update on where we stand with respect to the surgical backlog and diagnostic imaging backlog, and what's happened from before the pandemic, during the shutdown, especially during Directive 2s, and where we stand right now and where we hope to go for the future. Next slide, please. So what we're going to be focusing on first is the MRI and CT imaging, which are two modalities that are done exclusively at the hospital. These are not done in the community anywhere else. And we're going to be talking about where we stood with respect to wait times for priority 4 imaging requests for both MRI and CT. Next slide. So just so people understand what the priority 4 means, whenever an imaging request comes into our hospital for a CT or MRI, it's triaged into one of 4 categories. Priority 1s are usually ones that are done in hospital, in the emergency room, or in ICU. Usually that type of study is used to diagnose a life or limb potential injury and should be done the same day or at least within 24 hours. Priority 2 studies are also inpatient studies that should be done within 48 hours. The priority 3 and the priority 4s are the ones that are done as outpatients, and these are the requests that we receive from the community. And priority 3 should be done within 10 days. And then the benchmark for priority 4 studies, which are non-urgent studies, and the ones that were specifically targeted with the directives in terms of reducing the number of non-urgent and elective procedures, specifically targeted these priority 4 studies, which by benchmarking standards should be done within 28 days. Next slide, please. So where we were prior to the pandemic, so in March of 2020, as everybody knows, the World Health Organization declared the pandemic. We were meeting our thresholds for CAT scan imaging requests. So priority 4 CAT scans in Windsor, Essex were being done within 22 days. So within that benchmark of 28 days. MRIs for priority 4s were still longer at 149 days. And then, then there was a directive right at the beginning of the pandemic to ramp down all of our surgical procedures and outpatient diagnostic studies. And then when we came out of Directive 2 the first time around, our wait times for priority 4 CT scans had ballooned out to 92 days from 22 days, and our MRIs went to 255 days from 149 days. And then over the next year and a half or so, we started to do as much catching up as we possibly could. And then in January of 2022, this year, our CT wait times for priority 4 exams had dropped down to 44 days. So still not quite where we needed to be, under 28, but much better than the 92 days. And our MRI wait times also came down to about 184 days. And that was just before the ministry instituted or reinstated Directive 2. And now we're slowly coming out of that. As you know, we're slowly coming out based on regional variabilities. We're not quite where we need to be. We're at 70%. But where we stand right now within the last week is our CT wait times for priority 4 exams is up to 81 days, and for MRIs is 206 days. Next slide, please. Currently, Windsor Regional Hospital has 3 CT scanners, 2 at the OLEC campus and 1 at the Metropolitan campus, and all 3 CT scans run 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Our MRIs, we have 1 MRI machine at each site. So those 2 MRIs are running 18 hours a day between Monday and Friday, and 16 hours a day on the weekends. And if we had the human health resources to be able to run it more hours, we could. And when we have had human health resources, we had been running our MRI machines 24 hours a day as well. And we do have an application with the ministry right now for an approval for a 3rd MRI machine, so which would give us 3 CTs and 3 MRIs, because as you've noticed, the MRI wait times were much higher than the CT wait times. Next slide, please. This is a graphical representation, which I think sort of visually makes it a lot more obvious what happened with the ramp downs. If you look at April and May of 2019, we were doing about 7,200, 7,500 CTs. The upper line in orange is the CT volume. And at the bottom, the blue line is MRI volumes. We were doing about 1,900. And then you can see that sharp drop off for both studies, in particular CT studies, right around March of 2020, April 2020, as a direct result of the first directive being implemented right after the pandemic. And then slowly, as we recovered from that, you'll see the volume starting to go up again. And then by March of 2021, we were actually doing more CT scans than we had a year prior, and close to the same volume of MRIs as a year prior. So we quickly recovered, and perhaps we're doing a little bit more in terms of CT volumes, which helped us catch up right up until the next Directive 2 took place. Next slide, please. So now I'm going to go through some of the surgical backlog overview. We can go to the next slide. So this graph here takes us from March of 2020, just before the pandemic was declared, all the way up to March of 2022. So this is a 2-year time frame, where the upper graph in gray represents the total wait list on our surgical list. And you'll notice that there was about 5,300 procedures that were on the wait list at the beginning of the pandemic. And where we are right now is about 5,200 procedures on that wait list. So despite having had to go through 2 directives where we've had to ramp down non-elective surgical procedures, we've actually kept the wait list roughly the same as where we were pre-pandemic. And if you look at the breakdown of what that is composed of, you'll see the bottom graph in blue is the priority 2s, which are a bit more urgent. In red or orange, there is priority 3. And the top graph there just below the gray is the priority 4s. And what you'll notice with the priority 4s going down and the priority 2s and 3s going up is this represents the fact that patients who were priority 4, unfortunately, due to the delay in getting their procedures, their disease had time to progress, and then they became more urgent and then had to come in and have their procedure done as a priority 2 or 3, and in some cases even a 1. So that is a bit unfortunate, obviously, and that's obviously not unique to Windsor-Essex and has been a pattern that we've been seeing across the province and really globally. But what we've done at Windsor Regional Hospital, which I think has been remarkable, is to keep that wait list steady despite having to ramp down significantly. And we've done that through a number of strategies. Next slide, please. So right now we're currently following the direction of the ministry. We're currently operating at about 70%, and I'll explain that on the next slide. But some of the initiatives that we've taken that have been unique to us include consolidating our ambulatory clinics, particularly urology and fracture, to one site. We've done everything we possibly can to move procedures that normally would go in our main operating rooms outside of those main operating rooms. So wide awake foot and ankle surgeries, same-day joint programs. We've even had carotid artery procedures where we monitor them for a little bit longer in our recovery unit. So keeping them for 6 or 8 hours in PACU sometimes can reduce the need for an ICU stay, which then opens up ICU capacity to do other procedures. We've moved cases from our ambulatory department out into the community as well to try to create some of that capacity. And one of the biggest things that we've done that has had a significant impact has been to move the eye program, specifically cataracts and vitrectomies, offsite to the Walker Road campus. This has freed up a lot of time and space in our main ORs to help alleviate some of that backlog. We continue to have more plans to improve efficiency in our ORs, including anesthesia recruitment, anesthesia retention through the hiring of both anesthesia assistants and training up our respiratory therapists to help cover in the ORs as well. And some of the more exciting things that we have planned for the future includes the purchase of a mini C-arm, which will allow some of the procedures that are done in the main OR now to be done in ambulatory clinics. And with our vascular surgery program, we're doing and advancing with our EVAR program. This one is very exciting. If somebody has an abdominal aortic aneurysm today, they would need a very long operation, usually hours long, and then a hospital stay that could last anywhere from 7 to 10 days and oftentimes more. And now aneurysms like this could be fixed through a vascular procedure where it could only take a couple of hours. They're in hospital overnight and home the next day. So this is very exciting. It's going to reduce our OR usage. It's going to reduce our ICU stays. It's going to reduce our length of stay. And most importantly, it's standard of care and what's best for patients when they have these types of vascular diseases. Endoscopic ultrasound, ENT navigation system, which will also help us be more efficient with our OR usage, and also keep some of our patients local so that they don't have to travel to London or Toronto for some of this advanced care. So we're very excited about some of the measures that we're undertaking. And again, a lot of this is born out of the pandemic. So if there are some positives that we can look at from this pandemic, it's forced us to be a little bit more creative with our use of our operating time. And as a result of all of these measures, we've been able to keep that wait list. Now, it's obviously not great to have 5,000 people waiting for operations, but had we not implemented some of the measures that you're seeing on the screen, that number could easily be double and in the 10,000 range. And we know other organizations who've had their wait list double as a result of these directives. Next slide, please. So as we know, the ministry, when they implemented the most recent directive, did say that they were not going to rescind it outright, and we're going to do it in a phased approach. The other thing to note is that this is a regional approach, meaning hospitals in Windsor, Essex can move from phase 2 to phase 3, while hospitals in the GTA may be stuck at phase 2. It will depend on the intensity of community transmission, and there are different metrics there to tell you when you're able to move from one to the other. Your individual hospital and community's med surge capacity will also dictate whether you can move forward, ICU capacity and human health resources, of course. So right now we are currently at phase 2, so we're up to 70% for both surgical and diagnostic imaging ramp up. And we are getting very close to meeting criteria for phase 3, in which case we can move up to 90%. And the expectation is that we could be there within the next week or two. And then hopefully by spring and early summer, we could be well into the recovery phase, phase 4, where we'll be back up to 100%. I believe that's the last slide. And that's my report on both the surgical backlog and diagnostic imaging backlog. And I'm happy to take any questions if there are any.
Great. Questions, comments for Dr. Saad? Then I'll say it. Kudos to the team. Every inch of our departments were scrubbed to try and find efficiencies. So congratulations to you and the whole team at Windsor Regional Hospital for coming up with innovative ways to get through this pandemic in the best shape possible. And just a reminder, I don't think we paused any cancer surgeries, correct?
That's correct. Definitely not this time around, but I can tell you in wave 1, the original wave, many hospitals did stop, and Windsor Regional Hospital was one of the only ones that still continued with cancer surgeries.
So again, just shows how dedicated our staff is to finding unique solutions to the problems that we've faced the last 2 years. And I must say, this is the anniversary of our 2 years of being online. So this is our 2 years of having Zoom board meetings. So congratulations, everybody. We made it through 2 years. Hopefully we'll return to in-person soon. But with that, thank you, Dr. Saad. Thank you, everybody at Windsor Regional Hospital, for your help. Moving down, we have correspondence there. That's for your information. We have any board member comments, concerns, questions? Seeing none, thank you. So the date of our next meeting is Thursday, April 7th. That will be still via Zoom. Sorry, folks. Can I get a motion to adjourn? That's Paul, seconded by Mary. My only comment is everybody that has a hat available, please stick around for 1 minute afterwards. Don't jump ship. We do need to take a quick photo. So with that, all in favor of adjourning the meeting? Wonderful, thank you. Now, Matt, can you just keep it rolling on YouTube live here for a minute while we take a quick photo? That is spectacular, Jonathan, I must say. That is.
I found this in 5 minutes, Anthony, too, so I was pretty proud of that.
And I think Rosemary was grabbing her hat.
Let me get it.
We're gonna kick Wasim and Larry off because they just didn't want to participate in our fun. Guys, we'll see you soon. So for our camera board meeting, if you want to come back online in, let's say, 10 minutes, that would be perfect. Hopefully Dr. Saad's through all of his questions by then. All right. So what I'm supposed to say is everybody stare at your camera and give a big smile. Oh, wait, sorry, Rosemary. I was trying to get you. Oh, very nice. Thank you. All right, everybody. 1, 2, 3, cheese. Sorry, YouTubers at home. I mean, I think that'll work. Hopefully Teresina can grab a screenshot from that. If not, well, we tried. See everybody in 10 minutes.